fought the rest, now try the best!
Today, I want to do two things. One, break down this glorious cutscene that they showed us a couple of days ago at TGS. This is fantastic. Not only the cinematics, the fight scene, what Kazuya says, but also the cinematography. I want to break this down and analyze it in so many different ways. First, you have this scene here of Lars Alexander, and he's in this massive ship. Lars, Commander Lars, Operation Lightning will commence momentarily. So for those of you who don't know what Operation Lightning is, they told us about this in Alexander's bio. Basically, this is their goal, this is their plot to capture Kazuya. And if you see here on this monitor, it looks like there may be like a helicopter, like they're tracking him or monitoring him, something like that. But notice they have this giant map, they just have a lot of technology here, right? We think of Lars's group, Yggdrasil, as like this small ragtag group of people, but look at this. They got a lot of stuff at their disposal as well. They're just as equipped as the G Corporation, and this is also why the battle has went on for so long, is because both of them have all of this crazy technology at their disposal. Lars Alexander says, "Today we take down evil incarnate." This is very different from what he says in the trailer. I think in the trailer he said, "Come on, Jin, you can do it." So you can just see here that audio line isn't actually matching up with what he's actually saying. Next, they give us an overhead look following Jin Kazama down on the ground. You have this city. This is New York City. In game, it's called Neo City. But look at the detail. Look at how much, like, the buildings. Look at everything that they're displaying to us. Tekken has never really tried something like this, and it's so cool to see it. This is where we hear the line, "You can do this, Jin Kazama." Everyone's running away. Jin Kazama is driving towards the chaos. Jin Kazama was shown to us a few times to be riding a motorcycle. I know in past character endings, but then also in Pachinko slot machines. So it's just really cool to see a in-canon like use of the motorcycle. And this use is glorious. Kazuya Mishima is just chilling, sitting in the background. He's going from point A to point B. This is the scene pulled directly from the trailer. Jin Kazama speeds down the street on his motorcycle. This is something that's really cool in my opinion. Jin Kazama pops a wheelie right there, and then he ramps up this cop car. But notice, when I said cinematography, this is what I mean. The camera backs up through the windshield of this car, right? This is through the windshield. Now we're inside the car while Jin is riding over it. It quickly zooms out the back window, another broken glass, for a continuous shot. This kind of stuff is what you see like in John Wick and like top quality content. This is real movie production camera work we're seeing. From that moment, Jin ramps up, and then this is when he uses his motorcycle as a weapon and throws it at the helicopter. He doesn't throw it at the helicopter and then it creates just like a huge explosion and just like explosion. It's kind of realistic in the damage that it caused. It hits the propeller, it jams it up, and then it basically just like knocks the helicopter out of the sky. So I think that's just a really cool detail that like he just doesn't hit it and it blows up. It does like real damage. The helicopter really falls out of the sky in a realistic sense, and then it only explodes on impact. This is just, once again, good camera work. This part was really cool. So you're zoomed in on the fire. You're expecting Kazuya Mishima to step out somewhere in here. But once again, above and beyond, boom. You see this is just his foot. And then it zooms out. And then we get this down shot of Kazuya. Like he's hovering above Jin Kazama. Even his clothes survived the damage. There was many jokes that Jin Kazama basically just killed the helicopter driver. And that's kind of the moral of the story with Tekken as a whole. These characters always go back and forth, but they never seem to hurt each other. They only cause destruction and chaos to their surrounding. So the fact that Jin Kazama threw his motorcycle at the helicopter intending to kill Kazuya or at least hurt him, and he didn't, this kind of perfectly sums up what's been happening in the whole entire story as a whole, and it leads perfectly into what Kazuya says next. Kazuya says, "So he was alive all along." And the reason why this is important is because Tekken 8 takes place 6 months after Tekken 7. So that means that Jin Kazama was basically missing, hiding, or whatever, planning, training, whatever you want to call it, for 6 months. After killing Heihachi, Kazuya Mishima basically just did whatever he wanted. For that whole entire time, Jin was absent, and now this is his first time showing up. I would more so lean towards Jin being absent for 6 months because of what Kazuya says next. The monster who fanned the flames of war across the world, referring to Tekken 6. This is so important because Tekken players often forget that Jin Kazama is pretty much evil. I know we don't like to qualify him as that, but as a normal Tekken citizen, he's evil. This guy caused so much destruction in Tekken 6, and he cannot come back from that. Miguel is walking evidence, proof of how hated this guy is. He literally was just destroying stuff and causing havoc, of course to awake a demon, but explain that to Miguel. Tell Miguel that you took his sister's life to awake a demon, but then also tell him that that demon still exists. You know what I mean? So Jin Kazama has a lot to answer for as well, and Kazuya is very right in bringing up the hypocrisy within Jin. Keep in mind that Jin Kazama was also being chased by United Nations soldiers throughout Tekken 7. They weren't chasing anyone else besides him. Not Heihachi, not Kazuya. They were chasing Jin. Kazuya says, "What do you want with me?" This is another interesting line because something that's often brought up is that these two characters have no beef with one another. Like, yeah, they may have fought here and there, this tournament, that tournament, but they really never did anything to where Jin should be hunting him down. Kazuya killed Heihachi and went his separate path. You would think that Jin would have the Mishima Zaibatsu and go his separate path. They really shouldn't intertwine in this way, which is why Kazuya is asking, "What do you want with me?" We have no quarrel. Our quarrel is a thing of the past. Jin Kazama in this instant, he just says Mishima Kazama. And this is pretty interesting because Jin doesn't give a real response. He's more so like not really thinking it. Like his emotions, his anger, his hatred, he's just like so outraged. Kazuya is using full on sentences, calm and collected, and he's saying, "What do you want from me? The person who caused all this chaos, what do you want from me?" And then Jin Kazama's over here like, Kazama, Mishima, like he's like a brainless zombie at this point. He's just an autopilot. So that's another interesting thing to note is like what Jin is kind of feeling in this moment. He says, "Your very existence brings turmoil to the world." Kazuya crosses his hands and says, "What a bunch of bull. You're the one who started this war." Now, keep in mind, we don't know the full extent of what Kazuya Mishima has done. This character is saved by the fact that the past games don't go that deep into the lore. In Tekken 4, he took over the G Corporation, but we really don't know what he's been doing with that newfound power. Yes, he's been targeting Heihachi, but what else? We don't know. We only really know what Jin did and kind of what Heihachi did, because he is kind of a mystery. Jin says this is all to expunge the devil's blood. So basically get rid of the Mishima in the Mishima bloodline, get rid of the devil gene. This is when Kazuya starts walking forward down the rubble, and I just want to appreciate this shot as well. Look at this shot, it shows Kazuya Mishima walking down from the destruction, approaching Jin on equal footing, motto e motto. Kazuya Mishima says, "You deny even yourself." So he's asking him, if you want to get rid of me, my devil blood, what about yourself? And this is the thing, right? I made a video about this. Basically, the title was like, Jin Kazama cannot save Kazuya or Jin. And this is why, Kazuya does not want to give up his power. There's no reason for him to. The devil gene is allowing him to do incredible things, and there's no reason for him to give it up. And this is why he's calling Jin a fool, because that same power that's protecting Kazuya is also protecting Jin. So that's why he's saying you're a fool, because why would you give up the ability to be resurrected? Jin doesn't want to hear it, and he simply says silence. This is crazy, bro, because in this instance, Kazuya is the one who's thinking logically. He's the one who's like, you kind of can agree with him, and really you would think like, why is Jin doing all of this? I want to skip past all of the fighting. I don't really think there's anything that's said throughout the match. It's more so just gameplay. There was a brief moment during the fight where Kazuya and Mishima says, "Is that it?" And this is what the Mishimas do. They kind of test each other, they toy with each other, and they just really see like how far they can push one another. Jin Kazama says, "Don't look down on me." So Kazuya Mishima's like not really trying. He's like, "Is that it?" Jin's like, "Don't look down on me." So you kind of can see that back and forth happening in the battle. After the battle, Kazuya Mishima says, "Do you even realize the countless lives you sacrificed?" Jin Kazama's a online scrub and he does his rage art. They add this cinematic where they put gameplay from past Tekken games. Jin says, "I must atone for my sins. The devil blood runs through my veins. I shall destroy you." After doing his rage art, Kazuya Mishima stands up and he says, "How ludicrous. Come on now, bring out your devil." He got hit with the rage art and he's not even feeling it. He got back up and then round 2 is going to happen. Jin Kazama says, "I will kill you and put an end to all of this." And this is when he transforms from Michael Murray's own mouth. He said, "Devil Jin." Jin transforms into Devil Jin. But I talked about this previously where he has the horns. The horns is missing, which means that Jin Kazama is still in control. Maybe he will lose control, but as he activates it, it looks like he's in control. Now, if I just had to predict where this battle will go, Jin will turn into devil form, as in Kazuya will use his devil form, and then maybe Kazuya will beat Jin, and then that's when Jin will say, "I lost, I can't save anyone," or something like that, right? The story will continue, but I think this battle will end with Jin transforming into Devil Jin, and then Kazuya turning into Devil Kazuya, and then winning the fight.